Welcome, anime enthusiasts, to the world of The Devil is a Part-Timer. Get ready for a roller coaster of laughter, action, and unexpected twists. Join Satan himself as he navigates the human world while working at a fast food joint. Will he conquer Earth or become a model employee? Let's dive in and find out.
The story begins in the world known as Isla. The Dark Lord Satan is determined to conquer the human realm. To achieve his goal, he commands his 4 powerful generals to attack 4 different islands. However, humanity refuses to be defeated so easily and fights back with the help of their great heroes. The humans manage to push back the demons and eventually launch a siege on Satan's own palace. During his confrontation, the heroes successfully defeat 3 of Satan's generals. In a desperate bid to escape, the demon lord Satan and his last remaining general, Exiled, use a portal that transports them to modern-day Tokyo, as it seems to be a popular destination for anime adventures. Upon their arrival in Tokyo, both Satan and Exil's appearances transform to resemble ordinary humans. However, when some police officers find them acting suspiciously, Exiled tries to use his magical powers against the officers, only to discover that their powers are now ineffective in this new world. Mistaking Satan and Exiled for foreigners, the police take them to the station. There, Satan uses the last traces of his hypnosis abilities to gather information about this strange and unfamiliar world. He also becomes proficient in the Japanese language and shares his knowledge with Exiled. Since this new world lacks magic, their demon forms automatically transform into human appearances. However, Satan's magical powers are now limited. To adapt to this human world, he uses his hypnosis to acquire identity papers and money, even opening bank accounts. With these resources, they manage to rent a place to live, although it's nothing like their grand castles in Isla. Their landlady, a woman named Mickey, is a larger-sized person. As they settle into their new lives, Satan and Exiled come to realize that money is a significant obstacle in this world. They understand that they need to find jobs to sustain themselves. Satan decides to change his name to Sadeo, and Exiled takes the name Ashia. Sadeo goes out to work while Ashia takes on the role of a devoted house husband taking care of their home. One day, while Sadeo is outside, he spots a girl getting caught in the rain. Being kind-hearted, he offers her his umbrella. This moment could have been a romantic encounter, but Sadeo quickly rides away without any further interaction. Sadeo finds work in a prestigious job that many university graduates consider fortunate to have, a fast food worker at a franchise called McDonald's. Surprisingly, for a supposed evil Dark Lord, Sadeo demonstrates excellent customer service skills and works diligently, earning minimum wage like a boss. He gets a promotion due to his outstanding work, and on his way home, he encounters the girl he previously helped in the rain. She identifies him as Dark Lord Satan, revealing herself as Amelia, the greatest hero of Isla. Back in their world, Amelia and her companions had defeated Sadeo. In Tokyo, Amelia lost her magic and sacred weapon, just like Sadeo and Exiled. Despite this, she still attempts to kill him with a cheap knife. However, the police intervene and take both of them to the station, assuming they were quarreling. Amelia is powerless against the officers, and before parting ways, she vows to finish her mission another day. Sadeo remains unfazed by her threat. Amelia, now going by the human name Emi, works at a call center, living alone and relying on ready-made microwave food. Realizing that she has become like her sworn enemy, she becomes frustrated and visits Sadeo's home. While Ashia is terrified by Amelia's presence, Sadeo remains calm and reveals that she lost her heavenly powers just like them. When Ime sees the terrible condition in which Satan is living, she regrets her decision to come to this world, but she stays, saving her powers in case he reverts to evil. She was supposed to be accompanied by a high priest, but he couldn't enter the portal in time. Suspicious of Satan and Exiled, Ime starts following them around. However, she realizes that they are engaged in basic human activities like shopping and bathing. Sadeo's co-worker Chiho has a huge crush on him and becomes jealous when she sees him talking to Ime. One night, Embi advises Sadeo to continue living in Japan and forget about Isla since he seems to be doing well in this world. Suddenly, a mysterious force attacks them with magical shots, prompting them to flee. As Imi's home is far away and she lost her wallet while running, she asks if she can stay with them. While Ashia is against the idea, Sadeo is incredibly laid back and agrees, even giving her 1,000 yen for her bus ride home the next day. The following day, as a token of appreciation, Ime makes pickles for them before departing. Meanwhile, Chiho sends Sadeo an email asking if they can meet. Oblivious to the fact that Chiho is probably asking for a date, Sadeo accepts the invitation. At the same time, Ime receives a call from a mysterious person who recognizes her as Amelia, the hero. The caller threatens to destroy both Ime and Sadeo. Ime senses the malevolent aura emanating from the caller but can't identify who it is. Despite their previous conflict, Ime still cares for Sadeo's safety and warns him about the mysterious caller. Knowing that Sadeo will be meeting Chiho, Ashia uses his cash reserve to give Sadeo a wardrobe makeover for the occasion. When Chiho and Sadeo meet up, she asks him to hold hands, which he does without thinking much of it. This simple act makes Chiho absolutely smitten with him. While they enjoy coffee together, Ashia keeps a watchful eye on them. Coincidentally, Eme arrives at the scene and becomes suspicious, deciding to go inside the cafe. Ashia follows, attempting to stop her. During their conversation, Chiho reveals that she heard strange whispers recently, which turned out to be the language of Enti Isla. Although she didn't recognize it, she understood every word. Sadeo realizes that Chiho was hit by a language spell. Chiho becomes even more fond of Sadeo and is on the verge of confessing her feelings to him, but Imai interrupts them once again. Chiho becomes angry with Imai for abruptly barging in and assumes she's Sadeo's ex, which makes her even more possessive of him. Suddenly, a massive earthquake strikes, causing destruction around them. Ima uses her magic to put Chiho to sleep for her safety. After the chaos settles, Sadeo reverts to his original devil appearance, which Imai finds surprisingly attractive. Ime questions how he got his dark magic back, but even Sadeo is unsure. Ime is about to summon her sacred sword to fight him when Sadeo surprises her by saving Chiho and the other people around them. Imai is confused to witness the demon lord Satan acting as a savior. Her mind wanders back to her past in Enti Isla, recalling her childhood when Satan's army attacked their world. One day, the priests of the Holy Church arrived at their doorstep. Ami's father once revealed to her that her mother was an angel, making Amelia the chosen hero destined to defeat Satan. However, she never saw her father again after that conversation because Satan later destroyed her father's village. In the present, after returning to his normal form, Sadeo discovers that Chiho is actually the daughter of the policeman named Sasaki who arrested him on his first day in Tokyo. The language spell he cast on Officer Sasaki somehow affected Chiho, allowing her to understand the language of Enti Isla. The next morning, Imai returns the 1,000 yen to Sadeo. As she's leaving, she slips and falls due to her high heels. Sadeo brings her back inside to help her. Imai is filled with shame and frustration, unable to comprehend how the Dark Lord could now show kindness when he had once burned villages, destroyed farms, and caused countless deaths, including her father's, back in Enti Isla. Sadeo becomes saddened by his past actions, admitting that he had viewed humans differently back then, but now he sees things in a new light. Suddenly, Chiho arrives to check up on Sadeo and finds Imai with him. Misinterpreting the situation, she leaves with tears in her eyes. Sadeo, Imai, and Ashia follow her to console her. At the same time, two of Imai's companions can be seen traveling through a portal, presumably coming to this world as well. Elsewhere, Chiho encounters a mysterious child who seems to know her. The child reveals jet-black wings and starts wreaking havoc in the area. Sadeo, Imai, and Ashia arrive at the scene, and the child introduces himself as Lucifer, another one of Satan's demon generals. Imai is shocked to see Lucifer, as she was the one who had supposedly killed him in the past. However, Olba, a high priest of the church, saved Lucifer, intending to use him to take control of Enti Isla. Olba had accompanied Imai, but betrayed her before entering the portal. He promised to return Lucifer to heaven, which led to Lucifer joining him. Lucifer attacks Ashia, then Sadeo and Imai, but they manage to shield themselves and escape. Sadeo explains that Lucifer can use his magic by absorbing the negative energy of the humans around him. This is how Sadeo regained his demon form during the earthquake, when people felt fear and despair. Lucifer questions why Sadeo didn't use humanity's negativity to return to Enti Isla, and Sadeo responds that he is starting to like this world and doesn't want to go back. Lucifer takes advantage of Chiho's sadness and despair to gain more energy for his attacks. Olba uses a gun, forgetting that they are not in the US. Sadeo gets injured, so he teleports them to a crowded place with many people around. Despite being injured, Lucifer follows them and shoots a hole through Sadeo. Then he starts causing destruction in front of hundreds of people. However, this danger and chaos create fear in the humans, which ends up giving Sadeo back his powers. He holds the debris in place while Imai summons her celestial powers. Inside the barrier created by Sadeo, a fierce and all-out battle unfolds with Lucifer and Olba. Ashia, who has regained his true demon form, joins forces with Amelia, setting aside their past conflicts as a demon and a hero to fight against Lucifer and Olba together. Sadeo also enters the battle, instilling fear in his former general, Lucifer, and engaging in a forceful confrontation with him. They eventually manage to subdue both Lucifer and Olba. During the conflict, Lucifer admits to being the one who called Imai at her workplace. Imai questions Sadeo about whether he plans to return to Enti Isla now that he has regained his powers, but Sadeo shows more interest in excelling at his job in McDonald's in the human world. Having witnessed the events, Sadeo decides to reveal everything, including his past conflicts with Imai, to Chiho. Surprisingly, Chiho becomes more comfortable with Imai, understanding that they were once enemies. Imai's two companions arrive, delighted to reunite with her and surprised to see her on such friendly terms with Sadeo. They inform her that the entire church, not just Olba, is involved in the plot to kill her and take control of Enti Isla. Despite Lucifer's objections, Sadeo takes responsibility for the damage caused during the battle and uses his magic to repair everything that was harmed. As Imai doesn't appear to be in much danger from Sadeo, her two companions return to deal with the corrupted church in Enti Isla. Chiho and Sadeo happily continue working at McDonald's in Tokyo. Meanwhile, the church, after their plans have been exposed by the heroes, sends their Grand Inquisitor named Crescia to deal with Satan, Sadeo, and Emilia, Imai. Lucifer, now known as Hanzo, is assigned the task of researching any remaining magic in the human world. He demonstrates his internet skills by hacking into Imai's call center and contacting her. During an evening conversation, Imai scolds Sadeo for interfering with her. She reveals that Olba has been arrested by the police and Lucifer, Hanzo, is wanted, forcing him to hide in their apartment and stay indoors. Later, when Sadeo returns home, he catches a girl in a kimono falling down the stairs, and he catches her in his arms. The following day, Crescia visits their home but introduces herself as Suzume, their new neighbor. She brings a gift of noodles as a token of gratitude for Sadeo saving her the day before. Meanwhile, Imai's companion, Emeralda, sends her a significant amount of celestial magic in vitamin packaging to avoid suspicion from humans. Imai decides to check on what Sadeo and his generals are up to, setting the stage for the next developments in their intertwined lives. In surprise, Imai sees Suzuno at Sadeo's place, discovering that Ashiya is feeling sick and Suzuno has come to cook for them. Eager to listen in on their conversation, Imai accidentally trips and falls down the stairs once more, only to be caught by Sadeo. As she thanks him, Imai can't resist her sunder tendencies and playfully scolds him before they all sit down to eat Suzuno's food. While enjoying a meal, Imai notices something odd about Suzuno's kimono but can't quite figure it out at that moment. Later, Suzuno seeks Imai's help in adjusting to life in Tokyo, and Imai provides her contact details. As Suzuno leaves, she falls again, adding a touch of comedic relief. Meanwhile, as Sadeo heads to work, Suzuno gives him a lunchbox. Later, Imai receives a call from her companion Emeralda despite being in an entirely different dimension from Enti Isla. Emeralda warns Imai that the church is making political moves and may attack her soon. Back at the apartment, Sadeo sits down to eat the lunch that Suzuno made for him. When Chiho hears that a girl prepared it for him, she becomes paranoid and jealous. The lunchbox contains delicious food, including a heart-shaped dish, adding to Chiho's feelings of jealousy and insecurity. Chiho becomes absolutely furious and loses her composure over the situation. Meanwhile, in another location, two soldiers from the church in Enti Isla launch an attack on Imai. Despite Imai summoning her sacred sword and putting up a fight, the warriors use their magic to drain all of her powers away. However, the shopkeeper intervenes, surprisingly scaring the attackers away with paintballs. The arrival of the policeman interrupts the scene, and Imai waits for the situation to calm down. While she is waiting, she receives a call from Chiho, who informs her about an emergency concerning Sadeo. The call suggests that something critical has happened to Sadeo, prompting Imai to take action swiftly. The emergency that prompted Chiho to call Imai is actually due to her jealousy over Suzuno making a cute bento box for Sadeo. Both Chiho and Imai decide to check on him, and when they arrive at the door, they are surprised to see Suzuno open it. They learn that Ashiya is still sick, and Suzuno is taking care of them and cooking for them, hence the bento box for Sadeo. Contrary to her initial jealousy, Chiho becomes impressed by Suzuno's cooking skills. Sadeo suggests that Suzuno should consider working at McDonald's, which leaves Chiho looking devastated. However, she agrees to help Suzuno shop for new clothes, as she only has traditional dresses. Meanwhile, Sadeo accompanies Chiho home, and during the conversation, he asks if she's not concerned about him being the Demon King. Chiho confesses that she fell in love with him before knowing about his true identity. For the first time, Sadeo finally realizes that Chiho is in love with him. Unbeknownst to them, Suzuno overhears their conversation and becomes aware of the romantic feelings between Chiho and Sadeo. Chiho is incredibly embarrassed and quickly rides off on Sadeo's bike, fleeing from the situation. Meanwhile, Suzuno goes shopping with Imai, who becomes curious about Suzuno's background. Suzuno admits that she's never ridden a train and reveals that she came to Tokyo from Enti Isla through the gate. Imai is shocked to learn Suzuno's true identity as a resident of Enti Isla. Suzuno had assumed that Imai knew all along about her identity, and she's surprised that Imai didn't realize it. Suzuno still believes in the corrupted church's version of events and that Imai is associated with Satan, but Imai clarifies that she is not working with a corrupt church. Despite Suzuno's request for Imai's help in defeating Satan to change her own destiny, Imai has no interest in assisting the church. She wants to defeat Satan, but not through the corrupt church's methods. Meanwhile, back at McDonald's, they are facing a tough challenge as a new competitor, Kentucky Fried Chicken, has taken away their usual customers. Sadeo's boss orders him to defeat Kentucky at all costs. Later, Sadeo meets the manager of Kentucky, Mitsuki, who introduces himself and appears friendly at first. However, his true colors soon become evident, revealing a creepy and unsettling demeanor, especially when he interacts with Chiho. Mitsuki's true nature as a third-rate pervert is revealed when he starts hitting on Chiho, causing her to explode with frustration. In response, Sadeo sends Ashiya to spy on Kentucky to gather information. After finishing her work, Suzuno meets Imai and asks her to show where Sadeo works. Imai's co-worker, Rika, gets excited and tags along, much to Imai's annoyance. However, when they arrive at McDonald's and find it deserted, they end up going to Kentucky for food instead. During their meal, Rika asks about Sadeo, believing that there is something more between him and Ime. Ime denies any romantic connection, stating that the only thing between them is hatred and a desire for revenge. This angers Ashia, who overhears the conversation and picks a fight with Rika. To avoid revealing their true identities and past, Ashia concocts a false story about Sado's previous occupation as a branch manager in a real estate and personnel management company, with Imai as his rival who caused their company to go bankrupt. Rika becomes impressed by Ashia's passion and support for Sadeo, leading her to develop feelings for him. Later, Ashia provides Sadeo with a report on Kentucky's food, revealing that the chicken is good, but everything else is ordinary. The increased popularity of Kentucky is likely due to customers being attracted to something new and different. The three girls, Imi, Chiho, and Suzuno, sit down to eat at McDonald's. Rika immediately takes an interest in Chiho due to her cuteness, giving a hint that she may have a varied preference. Sadeo tries various tactics to attract new customers, but none of them seem to work, leaving the girls feeling sorry for him. To create a festive atmosphere, Sadeo orders a bamboo plant and decorates it for a festival. Customers are encouraged to write their wishes on the tree, and this immediately attracts lots of customers who join in the festivities. Sadeo works hard alongside the customers, but Suzuno is not satisfied with his new behavior. The next day, the manager sends Sadeo to another McDonald's branch in Hashime to share his expertise for one day. Hanzo, Lucifer, discovers that there will be a reptile exhibition and a haunted house exhibition in Hashime, which means there will be a concentrated source of human fear for Sadeo to collect dark magic. Suzuno overhears this. Meanwhile, Chiho calls Ime and asks her to come with her to Hashime the next day, and Ime agrees to join. Suzuno also asks to come along. The next day, Sadeo goes to work at the Hashime McDonald's branch, while Imi, Chiho, and Suzuno head to the amusement park in Hashime. The girls visit Sadeo at work, and Chiho tries to seduce him, but Sadeo remains focused on his work and maintains a diligent attitude. Later, the three girls visit the haunted house exhibition, which proves to be quite creepy. All three of the girls end up traumatized after their visit to the creepy reptiles exhibition. Imi, in particular, despises reptiles due to her past battles with monstrous reptiles. While looking at the reptiles, Imi accidentally bumps into a guard, causing him to drop his keys. A monkey picks up the keys, and the monkey opens the gates to dangerous alligators, and they enter the swimming pool, causing panic among the visitors. Hearing the commotion, Sadeo arrives at the scene to the tune of epic heavy metal guitar riffs. He uses the fear and panic of the people around him to regain his powers and manages to stop the alligators in their tracks. Just like Imai before, Suzuno is astonished to witness the devil using his powers to help humans instead of seeking power for himself. Later, when they return from the exhibition, Chiho sees Mitsuki, who reveals a pair of white wings and vanishes mysteriously. Meanwhile, Ashia falls seriously ill after eating too many noodles. Suzuno recalls her past in Isla as one of the Grand Inquisitors for the church. Her job involved identifying and eliminating corrupted and heretical individuals using poison and a large hammer. Despite having doubts about the church's questionable practices, Olba silenced her concerns. Back in Tokyo, Hanzo secretly informs Sadeo that he has placed a tracker in Imi's purse. Later, when no one is looking, Hanzo also sneaks a tracker into Suzuno's slipper. Suzuno remains conflicted about Sadeo's changed personality. In the midst of her confusion, she is approached by Mitsuki, who reveals himself to be an archangel named Serial and holds significant power within the church. Serial instructs Suzuno not to hesitate and to eliminate Sadeo immediately. However, Suzuno reflects on the church's corrupt practices that she once overheard and questions if this is truly why she joined them. In the present, she makes a promise to complete her mission involving Sadeo. Later, Suzuno advises Chiho to stop associating with Sadeo due to his past, even suggesting that he used magic to attract customers during the competition with Kentucky. Chiho denies these claims, and even Imai doesn't believe Sadeo is still evil. The tension escalates and Imai intervenes, expressing her intention to observe Sadeo's actions and be patient with him for the time being. Suzuno struggles to understand this leniency, having killed many people in the past for what she believed was the greater good, and she walks away silently. As Imai and Chiho return, the masked man they encountered earlier reveals himself as Serial, the Archangel. Being an Archangel, Serial can nullify Imi's celestial powers. He is determined to finish off Imai because she has failed to kill Sadeo all this time, and he easily overpowers her. Suzuno also renders Chiho unconscious. In the midst of the chaos, Chiho's phone falls, and it turns out she was trying to call Sadeo, who missed the call. Chiho's mother contacts Sadeo, expressing concern about Chiho's whereabouts. Worried, Sadeo asks Hanzo to use the trackers they planted earlier to find Imi and Suzuno. Sadeo rushes after Imi and Suzuno's directions while Ashia is recovering at the hospital from his sickness. Olba, who has been in a coma, wakes up and assaults Ashia, obtaining information about their home location from Ashia's health card. Meanwhile, Serial has captured Ime and is torturing her. trying to obtain her sacred sword, while Suzuno observes. Serial sends Suzuno to kill Sadao, but Imai reminds her that if they both die, Isla will revert to its corrupted state. Nevertheless, Suzuno attacks Sadao with her hammer, but he evades her strikes skillfully. Sadao even pulls a surprising move by stripping down purely to save his McDonald's uniform from damage, and reveals that he knew Suzuno's true identity from the beginning. He accuses her of being like Olba, willing to sacrifice everyone for power. Sadao is not intimidated, and his focus remains on saving Chiho and Ime. Suzuno becomes increasingly conflicted as she witnesses the devil displaying selfless behavior. Meanwhile, Olba meets Hanzo and offers to restore him to heaven in exchange for joining him once again. Hanzo smirks at the proposition. Back with Serial, he continues his cruel treatment of Ime and then turns his attention toward Chiho. Imai warns him that harming Chiho will bring the wrath of the devil upon him, but Serial laughs in response. Sadao rushes to the scene, appearing nearly naked, causing Chiho and Imai to blush in embarrassment. Serial quickly attacks Sadao, who is unable to fight back due to his depleted magic. Meanwhile, Olba absorbs celestial powers to perform his spell, bringing the moon closer, increasing Serial's strength. The panic among the people generates negative energy, revitalizing Ashia into his demon form. Sadao reveals his true power as the Devil King and frees Imai from her restraints. Suzuno arrives and shields Chiho from Sadao's dark powers, realizing the church's hypocrisy. Elsewhere, Hanzo also regains his powers and defeats Olba. Sadao and Serial continue their intense battle, drawing strength from the moon and the fear of the people. Sadao eventually triumphs over Serial using his long sword to create a massive explosion visible from space. Suzuno stands up to Serial and sides with Sadao and Ime. During the intense battle, the people's fear generates enough energy for Sadao and Ashia to regain their powers. After defeating Serial, Sadao tells Chiho that he must return to Isla. In a heartwarming moment, he gives her a tender kiss on the forehead. However, it turns out to be Chiho's dream. Nonetheless, Sadao was committed to restoring the city after exhausting his magic during the fight. After defeating Serial by opening a portal and banishing him, Sadao returns home. Later, Yumai experiences a disturbing dream at her call center job, where everyone disappears and the surroundings turn eerie and red. Despite her inner turmoil about Sadao killing her father, she remains convinced that she can never forgive him. At Sadao's home, Ashia requests a break from his house duties, which raises Ime's suspicions. She notices numerous boxes being transferred and becomes convinced that Sadao is acquiring a supply of dark magic. To investigate, Imai and Chiho start tailing Sadao. They discover that Sadao is working a second job to earn extra money, explaining that it's to cover Hanzo's reckless purchases of tracking devices on credit. Imai is surprised when Sadao informs her that there is a tracking device in her bag, which she promptly destroys. It turns out that Ashia is also working a temporary job to help pay for Hanzo's extravagant spending. Emi inquires about the recent transfer of boxes, but Sadao claims he is unaware of their contents. The truth is that Hanzo made more impulsive online purchases, including feather beds and fire extinguishers. Sadao unleashes his inner demon to scare Hanzo for his irresponsible behavior. When they try to return the items, they find that the company refuses to cooperate, insisting that Hanzo signed a legitimate contract. Helpless in the face of this legal loophole, they return home, dealing with the consequences of Hanzo's actions. Suddenly, Imai comes up with a brilliant idea. She asks if Hanzo is considered a minor in human documents. Sadao confirms this, and Imai suggests that when signing contracts, Hanzo's guardian's permission should have been required. Since Sadao never gave such permission as Hanzo's guardian, they can use this loophole to return the purchased goods. The manager leaves defeated, and Sadao smirks with devilish satisfaction. Ashia is amazed that they were aided by none other than Amelia, the chosen hero. Sadao suggests that they should invite her to join the devil team. One night, as Sadao was heading home from work in the rain, he encounters Ime. She offers him a new umbrella because he's drenched. Surprisingly, she smiles at him for the first time ever.
As the video ends here, I hope you enjoyed this recap as much as I did. Season 1 concludes here, and I look forward to bringing you the Season 2 recap soon. Stay tuned for more laughter and thrilling adventures. Subscribe now and join me for the most epic recaps as we dive into the demon-filled fun. Hit that notification bell to stay in the loop. Your support has been incredible, and I can't wait to share Season 2 with all of you. Let's make this devilish journey unforgettable. Get ready for more excitement, more surprises, and more devilish antics. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and stay tuned for the next episode of The Devil is a Part-Timer Season 2.